Hello, I'm Father Joe Roesch of the Marian Fathers of the Immaculate Conception. Thank you for joining us as we continue with our year-long journey, reading the diary of St. Maria Faustina Kowalska from beginning to end. Today we take up from where we left off, beginning with diary entry number 1618. Father Andrasch's words: "Live more by faith. Pray that the divine mercy become more widely known, and that the work may come into good hands that will manage it well. As for yourself, try to be a good religious here, although things may turn out that way also, but try to be a good religious right here. And now, if you feel those urgings from the Lord and recognize that it is He, follow them. Devote to prayer all the time that is set apart for it, and make your notations afterwards." The last 2 days of Carnival, my physical sufferings have intensified. I am uniting myself more closely with the suffering Savior, asking Him for mercy for the whole world, which is running riot in its wickedness. Throughout the day I felt the pain of the crown of thorns. When I lay down, I could not rest my head on the pillow, but at 10 o'clock the pains ceased, and I fell asleep. But the next day I felt very exhausted. Jesus, host, if you yourself did not sustain me, I would not be able to persevere on the cross. I would not be able to endure so much suffering. But the power of your grace maintains me on a higher level and makes my sufferings meritorious. You give me strength always to move forward and to gain heaven by force, and to have love in my heart for those from whom I suffer adversities and contempt. With your grace, one can do all things. March 1st, 1938, one-day retreat. In meditation, I learned that I should hide myself as deeply as possible in the heart of Jesus, meditate upon His sorrowful passion, and penetrate into the sentiments of His divine heart, which is full of mercy for sinners. In order to obtain mercy for them, I will empty myself at every moment, living by the will of God. Throughout this Lent, I am a host in your hand, Jesus. Make use of me so that you may enter into sinners yourself. Demand anything you like. No sacrifice will seem too much for me when souls are at stake. I have offered this whole month's masses and holy communions for the intention of Father Andrasch, that God may give him an even deeper knowledge of His love and mercy. This month, I will practice the 3 virtues recommended to me by the Mother of God: humility, purity, and love of God, accepting with profound submission to the will of God everything that He will send me. March 2nd, 1938. I began Holy Lent in the way that Jesus wanted me to, making myself totally dependent upon His holy will and accepting with love everything that He sends me. I cannot practice any greater mortifications because I am so very weak. This long illness has sapped my strength completely. I am uniting myself with Jesus through suffering. When I meditate on His painful passion, my physical sufferings are lessened. The Lord said to me, "I am taking you into my school for the whole of Lent. I want to teach you how to suffer." I answered, "With you, Lord, I am ready for everything." And I heard a voice, "You are allowed to drink from the cup from which I drink. I give you that exclusive privilege today." Today I felt the passion of Jesus in my whole body, and the Lord gave me knowledge of the conversion of certain souls. During Holy Mass, I saw Jesus stretched out on the cross, and He said to me, "My pupil, have great love for those who cause you suffering. Do good to those who hate you." I answered, "O my master, you see very well that I feel no love for them, and that troubles me." Jesus answered, "It is not always within your power to control your feelings. You will recognize that you have love if, after having experienced annoyance and contradiction, you do not lose your peace, but pray for those who have made you suffer and wish them well." When I returned, and then Faustina leaves that thought unfinished. Father Andras told St. Faustina to live more by faith and to pray that the Divine Mercy message would become widely known. That has certainly happened, but there are always more people that need to learn about God's goodness and love. Father Andras urged St. Faustina to take the time to pray. It is so necessary in order to be open to God's graces. She needs to write in her diary, but prayer must be the priority. Faustina suffered a great deal during the last days before Lent, when people give themselves over to frivolity and sinfulness as a kind of a last fling before Lent, a time of Carnival or Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, right before Ash Wednesday. And in his counsels to St. Faustina, Father Andras seems to indicate that it would probably be good, if that's what the Lord wants, for her to stay and be a good religious here, meaning in this current congregation. I think he's beginning to recognize that she's coming toward the end of her life, and it won't be during her lifetime that next congregation will be formed. Faustina writes that she can only endure her sufferings because Jesus sustains her. Faustina made a one-day retreat on the 1st of March. This was something that the sisters would do every month, a one-day retreat. And Jesus told her to hide herself in his heart and to meditate on his passion. Faustina asked Jesus to turn her into a Eucharistic host and to ask of her any sacrifice that was necessary. Faustina offered her masses and her communions for the whole month for the intentions of Father Andras. She strove to practice the three virtues that month that Mary had recommended: humility, purity, and love of God. She accepted all things that God sent her. She surrendered herself to God's will. She began the season of Lent as Jesus wanted. Her physical weakness prevented her from any great sacrifices, but she united her sufferings with those that Jesus had suffered on the cross. By meditating on the Passion, her sufferings lessened. And Jesus promised to teach her how to suffer during Lent. He taught her to love those who caused her suffering or those who hated her. She said that sometimes it's hard to do because she doesn't feel any love for them. And Jesus told her that we can't always control our feelings, but as long as she prays for them and then feels peace in her heart, maintains her peace, then she will be successful.